The air in the boardroom felt heavy, like the weight of a Texas summer storm about to break. The long oak table gleamed under the soft glow of recessed lights, reflecting the faces of Harper Logistics board members, their expressions a mix of curiosity and unease. I sat near the head of the table, my notepad open, pen poised, ready to dive into the quarterly review. For 12 years, I'd been the heartbeat of this company, the chief operating officer who turned our family's modest logistics firm in Austin into a national contender. My name is Emily Harper, 41 years old, and until this moment, I believed I was indispensable. My sister, Claire, stood at the front, her tailored blazer sharp against the Austin skyline visible through the floor-to-ceiling windows. She'd been named CEO just 3 weeks ago, a decision handed down by our father, Robert Harper, and rubber-stamped by the board. Claire, with her polished smile and knack for charming investors, had always been the family's golden child. I didn't begrudge her the title, at least. Not entirely. I'd been too busy securing contracts, streamlining supply chains, and negotiating deals that fueled our growth. While Claire dazzled at industry galas, I was in the trenches, building relationships with clients who trusted me, not just the Harper name. The meeting began routinely. Financial reports. Market updates. I presented our latest achievement. A National Logistics Innovation Award, earned because of a real-time tracking system I'd designed. The board applauded, and I felt a quiet swell of pride. This company, founded by our grandmother decades ago, was my life's work. I glanced at Claire, expecting a nod of acknowledgement. Instead, her eyes were cold, her lips pressed into a thin line. The room shifted, the hum of the air conditioning suddenly too loud. "Emily," Claire said, her voice cutting through the murmurs like a blade. "Your services are no longer required. Please clear your office by tomorrow." Silence swallowed the room. I felt my pulse in my throat, a steady thrum against the chaos erupting in my mind. Fired? From the company I'd poured my soul into? The board members froze, some staring at Claire, others avoiding my gaze. A senior executive shifted uncomfortably in his leather chair, the creak echoing in the stillness. I looked at Claire, searching for a crack in her composure, but she stood tall, her chin lifted, that self-satisfied smile I'd known since childhood curling her lips. She'd waited years for this, I realized. Years of standing in my shadow, her charm outshone by my results. "Is that all?" I asked, my voice steady despite the anger simmering beneath. I wouldn't give her the satisfaction of seeing me unravel. "Not here. Not now." "Yes, Emily, that will be all," Claire replied, already turning to the next agenda item, as if dismissing me were no more significant than approving a budget line. I gathered my notepad and pen, my movements deliberate. I nodded to the board members, some of whom met my eyes with sympathy, others with unease. Then I walked out, my heels clicking against the polished floor, the heavy door closing behind me with a soft thud that belied the earthquake it triggered. I was no longer part of Harper Logistics, the company I'd helped transform from a struggling regional player into a powerhouse moving goods across the country. The betrayal stung, sharp and deep, but beneath it, a strange calm began to take root. I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. As I walked down the hallway, memories flooded me. I saw myself at 29, sitting in this same building, then a cramped office with flickering fluorescent lights pitching my first major client, a Seattle-based retailer who'd become our anchor account. I remembered late nights poring over spreadsheets, crafting proposals that won us contracts in Charlotte, Memphis, and beyond. I'd been the one who modernized our warehouse systems, who negotiated terms that doubled our profit margins. Claire had been there too, smiling for photos at trade shows, delivering my numbers in her flawless presentations. I'd never minded. I loved the work, the puzzle of logistics, the trust I built with clients who called me by my first name. But Claire had minded. I saw it now, clear as the Austin sun outside. Every deal I closed, every client who praised me, had been a thorn in her side. Growing up, she'd been the star homecoming queen, sorority president, the daughter who sparkled at our parents' country club dinners. I was the quiet one, more comfortable solving math problems than making small talk. "Why can't you be more like Claire?" my mother would ask, her tone gentle but pointed. What they never saw was that I was building connections too. just not at cocktail parties. My connections were forged in conference calls, in the trust of clients who knew I'd deliver. That trust was my power, and Claire had just underestimated it. As I reached the elevator, a memory surfaced, sharp and vivid. I was 12, standing in our backyard in Austin, watching Claire present a science project to our parents. It was my project, built over weeks of research, but she'd claimed it as hers, her smile dazzling them. I'd stayed silent, hurt but unsurprised. Even then, I'd known she craved the spotlight. Today, in that boardroom, she'd tried to erase me again. But this time, I wasn't a child. This time, I'd been preparing. The elevator doors opened, and I stepped inside, my reflection staring back from the mirrored walls. My dark hair was pulled into a neat bun, my navy blazer crisp despite the chaos of the moment. I looked like the woman who'd won that innovation award, who'd grown Harper Logistics into a name that mattered, and I felt like her too. The shock was fading, replaced by a spark of something new opportunity. Claire thought she'd won, but she didn't know the half of it. 6 years ago, I'd seen this coming. Not this exact moment, perhaps, but the inevitability of being pushed aside in a family that valued appearances over substance. I'd created a safety net, a company called Horizon Consulting LLC, quietly holding the contracts that powered Harper Logistics. It was my insurance policy, built not out of spite but survival. As the elevator descended, I allowed myself a small smile. Claire had lit the match, but I held the blueprint to rebuild. By the time I reached the ground floor, my mind was racing, not with anger but with possibility. I'd lost my title, my office, my place in the family legacy. But I hadn't lost my vision, my relationships, or my will to fight. I stepped into the lobby, the Austin heat seeping through the glass doors. My phone buzzed a text from Mia, my assistant, who must have heard the news. "Emily, what happened? Are you okay?" I typed a quick reply. "I'm fine. Meet me in my office. We have work to do." I couldn't stop the laugh that escaped me, soft and defiant. Claire thought she'd broken me, but she just handed me the chance to build something bigger, something mine. The boardroom betrayal was just the beginning. The real story, my story, was about to unfold. The walk from the elevator to my office felt like crossing a battlefield after the cannons had gone silent. The sleek hallways of Harper Logistics, lined with framed awards and photos of our Austin headquarters, seemed foreign now, as if I were a guest in a place I'd built. My heels echoed on the marble floor, each step a reminder of the bombshell my sister, Claire, had just dropped in the boardroom. Fired. Effective immediately. The words looped in my mind, but they couldn't drown out the strange clarity settling over me. I was Emily Harper, 41, the woman who'd turned our family's logistics company into a national name. Claire thought she'd erased me, but she'd only set the stage for my next move. I pushed open the door to my corner office, the one I'd earned through years of late nights and hard-won deals. The view of downtown Austin sparkled through the window, the Colorado River glinting in the morning sun. My assistant, Mia, looked up from her desk outside, her eyes wide with concern. She'd heard, of course. Gossip in this building traveled faster than our delivery trucks. "Emily, what happened in there?" she asked, her voice trembling as she followed me inside. I closed the door softly, needing a moment to gather myself before the world outside demanded answers. "Claire fired me," I said, the words tasting bitter but oddly liberating. "Effective, immediately. I need to clear out by tomorrow." Mia's mouth fell open, her hands clutching the edge of my desk. "She can't do that. You're the reason this company is what it is. Without you, we'd still be a mom-and-pop outfit hauling freight in Central Texas." I sank into my chair, the leather creaking under me, and allowed myself a single breath of shock. Mia was right. I'd brought in over 70% of our major clients, from tech firms in Seattle to retailers in Charlotte. I designed systems that cut costs and boosted efficiency, earning us that National Innovation Award just last month. But Claire could do it. And she had. "She's the CEO now," I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside. "Dad made that call, and the board signed off. It's her show." Mia shook her head, her dark curls bouncing. "But why? You've outshone her for years. Everyone knows it." I managed a faint smile, the first crack in the armor I'd worn since leaving the boardroom. "Exactly. That's why." The truth hung between us. heavy and unspoken. Claire had always been the family's darling, the one who lit up rooms with her charm and dazzled at industry events. But charm didn't move goods across the country. I did. And every client who called me directly, every contract I secured, had been a reminder of her inadequacy. Our father, Robert, had favored her since we were kids, praising her poise while dismissing my ideas as making waves. I'd learned early to work around it, to build my value in the shadows. But 6 years ago, I'd done more than that. I'd built a lifeboat. I opened my desk drawer and pulled out a leather portfolio, its edges worn from years of careful handling. Inside were documents I'd prepared with my attorney, Lauren, back when whispers of succession planning first surfaced. "Mia," I said, my voice steadier now. "Do you remember the restructuring I pushed through 6 years ago? The one that created Horizon Consulting LLC?" Her eyes widened, a spark of realization dawning. "Your consulting company, the one that technically holds all the big client contracts." I nodded, flipping open the portfolio to reveal neatly organized contracts, each bearing the Horizon Consulting header. "This was my insurance policy," I said. I saw this coming, not the firing exactly, but the possibility of being pushed out. Dad's always favored Claire, and I knew the board wouldn't fight him. Mia leaned forward, scanning the documents. "So, the clients? They're not tied to Harper Logistics. They're tied to you." "Exactly." For the first time since Claire's announcement, I felt the ground beneath me solidify. Horizon Consulting wasn't just a legal maneuver. It was my declaration of independence. On paper, it looked like a tax efficiency measure, a way to streamline client negotiations. I'd pitched it to Dad as a win for the company, and he'd approved it without a second thought. Why would he question something that boosted our bottom line? But in reality, it was my shield against the family politics that had always favored Claire's image over my substance. I leaned back in my chair, the Austin skyline stretching before me. A memory surfaced. Raw and vivid. 6 years ago, I'd sat in this same office, late at night, journaling my fears. I'd written about the board meeting where Claire took credit for my cost-saving proposal, smiling as Dad praised her leadership. That night, I'd decided to protect myself. I'd called Lauren the next day, and together, we'd built Horizon Consulting. My journal entry from that night was tucked in the portfolio, a reminder of why I'd done it. I can't trust them to see my value. I have to secure it myself. "Mia," I said, snapping back to the present. "This isn't the end. It's a beginning." She grinned, her shock giving way to excitement. "You're going to take the clients and start your own thing, aren't you?" I laughed, the sound surprising me. It wasn't bitter or forced, it was genuine, born of the realization that Claire's betrayal had freed me. "Something like that," I said. "But I'll need your help." Mia didn't hesitate. "I'm in. Whatever you need." Her loyalty warmed me, a reminder that I wasn't alone. I thought of the team I'd built over the years, analysts, managers, drivers, who'd trusted me to lead. Many would follow me, I knew, not out of blind allegiance, but because we'd built something real together. I glanced at the portfolio again, my fingers tracing the Horizon Consulting logo. This wasn't just about contracts. It was about the relationships I'd nurtured, the trust I'd earned. Another memory flickered. This one's softer. Last year, I'd volunteered with an Austin entrepreneurship program, mentoring young women starting their own businesses. One of them, a 22-year-old launching a bakery, had thanked me for showing her how to negotiate with suppliers. "You make it look fearless," she'd said. I hadn't felt fearless then, but now, sitting in this office I'd soon leave, I did. Claire had tried to diminish me, but she'd only ignited my resolve. I stood, crossing to the window. The city buzzed below, alive with possibility. "Let's start packing," I said to Mia. "Not just my stuff, but our plans. We're building something new." She nodded, already pulling boxes from a closet. As I began sorting files, my phone buzzed a client, no doubt, hearing rumors of the shakeup. I didn't answer yet. I needed this moment, this calm before the storm, to savor what was coming. Claire thought she'd won the company, but I held its lifeblood. Horizon Consulting wasn't just a backup plan. It was my future, and I was ready to claim it. The morning after my world turned upside down, I arrived at Harper Logistics before the sun breached the Austin skyline. The building stood quiet, its glass facade reflecting the first hints of dawn over the Colorado River. My office, once a sanctuary of plans and triumphs, was now a space I had to empty by day's end. I'd been fired by my sister, Claire, the new CEO, in a boardroom ambush that still stung like a fresh wound. But as I stepped inside, a cardboard box under my arm, I felt something else, a pulse of defiance, a whisper of possibility. I was Emily Harper, 41, the architect of this company's rise, and I wasn't leaving empty-handed. Thanks to Horizon Consulting LLC, my secret weapon, I held the keys to Harper Logistics' lifeblood, its clients. I set the box on my desk, the familiar scent of polished wood and coffee grounds grounding me. My assistant, Mia, had promised to meet me early, but for now, I was alone with my thoughts. I ran my fingers over the framed National Logistics Innovation Award on the wall, earned because of the tracking system I'd built. That system had saved clients millions, and they knew it. Claire thought she could erase me with a single announcement, but she hadn't counted on the relationships I'd forged over 12 years. Those relationships, secured through Horizon Consulting, were my power, and they were about to speak. My phone buzzed, shattering the silence. It was Sarah Mitchell, head of procurement for a Seattle-based tech firm, our largest client. I took a breath, steadying myself, and answered. "Emily, what's going on?" Sarah's voice was sharp with concern. "I got an email from your sister saying she's my new point of contact. Is this a joke?" I smiled, a spark of vindication warming me. "Good morning, Sarah. No joke, I'm afraid. Claire's the new CEO, and she's made some changes, including letting me go." Never one. Sarah's response was immediate, indignant. "Letting you go? You're the reason we signed with Harper Logistics. You flew out to Seattle for my daughter's high school graduation when we finalized our deal. You built the tracking system we rely on. Does Claire understand our contract?" I leaned against the desk, picturing Sarah in her sleek office overlooking Puget Sound. "I don't think she's reviewed the fine print yet," I said, keeping my tone neutral. "Our agreement is with Horizon Consulting LLC, my company. Harper Logistics is just the fulfillment partner." There was a pause, then a low chuckle. "Well, that's a relief. We're sticking with you, Emily, not some corporate figurehead. Send me the transition plan, and let's keep things moving." I promised to follow up, my heart lighter as I hung up. Sarah's loyalty wasn't just professional, it was personal. I'd invested in her trust, not just her business, and that investment was paying off. Before I could process the call, Mia burst through the door, her arms full of empty boxes. "Emily, you okay?" she asked, dropping the boxes and studying my face. "Better than okay," I said, gesturing to my phone. "That was Sarah Mitchell. She's staying with Horizon Consulting." Mia's eyes lit up. "I knew it. The clients love you. Claire's in for a rude awakening." I nodded, but a flicker of doubt crept in. Was I being too ruthless? By leveraging Horizon Consulting, I was pulling the rug out from under Harper Logistics, the company my grandmother founded. Yet Claire had forced my hand. This wasn't revenge, it was survival. I began packing, sorting through files and mementos. A photo of me and Dad at a warehouse opening caught my eye. He'd been proud that day, but even then, he'd called Claire to share the spotlight. I set the photo in the box, a pang of sadness mixing with resolve. 6 years ago, I'd created Horizon Consulting because I knew this day might come. My journal from that time, tucked in my portfolio, had captured my reasoning. I can't rely on family to value me. I have to protect what I build. That foresight was my lifeline now. My phone buzzed again, another client, this time from a Charlotte-based retailer. "Emily, what's this nonsense about a new contact?" the voice demanded. I explained the situation, and like Sarah, they affirmed their loyalty to Horizon Consulting. By the time I hung up, a third client, from Memphis, had called with the same message. They wanted me, not Claire. Each call was a brick in the foundation of my new future, but also a reminder of the chaos I was leaving behind. Harper Logistics relied on these contracts for 75% of its revenue. Without them, Claire's reign as CEO would crumble before it began. As I packed, Mia sorted emails, her efficiency a comfort. "You're not just saving yourself," she said, glancing up. "You're saving the clients too. They trust you to deliver." Her words eased my doubt. This wasn't about tearing down Harper Logistics, it was about honoring the promises I'd made to people who believed in me. I thought of the Austin entrepreneurship program I'd volunteered with, where I'd mentored young women on building trust in business. One mentee had said, "You make it look like you're always one step ahead." I hadn't felt that way yesterday, but today, I was starting to. The door swung open, and my phone rang simultaneously. It was Claire. I let it ring twice, then answered, keeping my voice calm. "Hello, Claire." Her tone was tight, barely controlled. "Emily, where are the client files, and why is Sarah Mitchell saying she won't work with us anymore?" I pictured her in her new CEO office, her immaculate pantsuit no match for the panic in her voice. "The files are in the shared drive, organized by account," I said. "As for Sarah, she's exercising her contractual rights." "What are you talking about?" Claire's voice rose, sharp with frustration. I took a breath, savoring the moment. "Check the contract headers, Claire. Our major accounts are with Horizon Consulting LLC, my company. Harper Logistics is just the fulfillment partner. The clients chose me." The silence on the other end was deafening, a victory sweeter than I'd expected. "You can't do this," she finally said, her voice trembling. I couldn't help the laugh that escaped me, soft but defiant. "I already did. 6 years ago, with Dad's approval and the board's signature." I hung up, my pulse racing. Mia grinned, shaking her head. "You're a genius, Emily." I shrugged, but inside, I felt a surge of pride. This was the client rebellion I'd prepared for, not out of malice but necessity. Claire had tried to erase me, but she'd underestimated the trust I'd built. As I taped up the first box, my phone buzzed, again another client, ready to follow me. I looked out at the Austin sunrise, its golden light spilling over the city. The storm was coming, but I was ready. Horizon Consulting wasn't just a fallback, it was my rebellion, and the clients were my army. The Austin morning buzzed with possibility, the city's heartbeat syncing with my own as I stood in a small, leased office space downtown. Barely 48 hours had passed since my sister, Claire, fired me from Harper Logistics, the family company I'd helped transform into a national powerhouse. The sting of her betrayal lingered, but it was overshadowed by a fire kindling inside me. I was Emily Harper, 41, and with Horizon Consulting LLC, me carefully crafted lifeline, I held the contracts that powered 75% of Harper's revenue. Clients like Sarah Mitchell in Seattle had already pledged their loyalty to me, not Claire. Now, it was time to build something new, something mine. But I couldn't do it alone. The office was a blank canvas, exposed brick walls, a few mismatched chairs, and a single window framing the Colorado River's glint. Boxes from my old corner office at Harper Logistics were stacked in a corner, their contents photos, awards, my worn leather portfolio reminder of what I'd left behind. Yet, as I unpacked, I felt less like I was mourning a loss and more like I was planting seeds for a future. My phone buzzed relentlessly. Clients from Charlotte to Memphis confirming they'd follow Horizon Consulting. Their trust was my foundation, but to deliver, I needed a team. And that team was already forming, drawn by loyalty and a shared vision. Mia, my assistant, arrived first, her arms full of coffee cups and a grin that could light up the Austin skyline. "This place is ours now," she said, setting the cups on a wobbly table. "No Claire, no board, just us." I laughed, the sound easing the tension in my chest. Mia had quit Harper Logistics the moment she heard I was fired. Her loyalty, a gift I hadn't expected, but deeply cherished. "You didn't have to do this," I said, taking a sip of coffee. "You had a secure job." She shrugged, her dark curls bouncing. "Secure, sure. But working for you? That's where the magic happens. I'm not missing out on this." Her words warmed me, but they also carried weight. This wasn't just about me anymore. Mia had bet on me, and soon, others would too. As we sorted through boxes, my phone rang again. It was Ryan Ellis, Harper's former operations lead, a steady hand who'd managed our warehouses with precision. "Emily," he said, his voice firm but warm. "I heard what happened. I'm out. Half the ops team is ready to walk. You hiring?" I paused, the magnitude of his words sinking in. Ryan wasn't just an employee, was a linchpin, someone who'd executed my vision for years. "Send me names," I said. "Competitive packages for everyone. We're building something big." By noon, Ryan arrived at the office, bringing with him a list of 8 employees, analysts, logistics specialists, account managers who wanted to join Horizon Consulting. They weren't just jumping ship, they were choosing me over the stability of Harper Logistics. I felt a surge of gratitude, but also pressure. These were people with families, mortgages, dreams. I had to deliver, not just for our clients, but for them. "Let's make this official," I told Ryan and Mia. "We're a team now. Horizon Consulting is real." The rest of the day was a whirlwind. I made calls to secure temporary partnerships with fulfillment centers in Charlotte and Memphis, ensuring we could handle client orders without Harper's infrastructure. The agreements were hasty, signed over email with promises of formal contracts later, but they were enough to keep us moving. I was building the airplane while flying it, a phrase I'd heard at an Austin entrepreneurship program I'd volunteered with. One of my mentees, a young woman launching a clothing brand, had called me fearless for juggling multiple deals at once. I didn't feel fearless now, but I was determined. As evening fell, the office came alive with new faces. The team Ryan had rallied showed up, some carrying their own boxes from Harper Logistics, others bringing takeout from a nearby taco truck. We pushed the wobbly table to the center, and soon the room was filled with laughter and the clatter of assembling IKEA Furnituria bookshelf that refused to stand straight, a desk that sparked a playful debate over instructions. "This is why I stick to logistics," Ryan quipped, holding a screwdriver like it was a foreign object. The chaos was joyful, a stark contrast to the sterile boardroom where Claire had tried to break me. Amid the banter, I shared my vision. "Horizon Consulting isn't just a company," I said, standing on a chair to address the group. "It's a promise. To our clients, who trust us to deliver. To each other, to build something we're proud of. And to ourselves, to prove we're more than a family name." The room quieted, eyes on me. I thought of my grandmother, who'd founded Harper Logistics with grit and a single truck. She'd faced doubters too and never flinched. "We're starting small," I continued, "but we're starting true. And I'm launching a mentorship program for young logistics professionals so we can pass on what we learn." The team cheered, their energy infectious. Mia raised her soda can in a mock toast. To Emily, who saw this coming and built a lifeboat. Laughter rippled through the group, but I felt a twinge of vulnerability. Had I seen it coming? 6 years ago, when I created Horizon Consulting, I'd acted on instinct, a journal entry capturing my fear. "I can't let them take what I've built." That fear had driven me. But now, standing among these people who'd chosen me, I realized it was trust not fear that would carry us forward. As we cleaned up, Ryan pulled me aside. "You're giving us a chance to be part of something real," he said. "That's why we're here." His words echoed a memory from my volunteering days, when a mentee thanked me for showing her how to negotiate with confidence. I'd told her, "Build your table, and the right people will sit at it." Now, I was building mine, and the right people were here. By nightfall, the office felt less like a leased space and more like a home. We'd set up workstations, mapped out client transitions, and even hung the Innovation Award on the wall, a reminder of what we'd achieved and what we could do. My phone buzzed with a text from Claire. "You can't take everything. This isn't over." I read it, then set the phone down. Her panic was her problem, not mine. I looked at Mia, Ryan, and the others, their faces lit by the glow of laptop screens and shared purpose. Claire had tried to erase me, but she'd only sparked a rebellion. Horizon Consulting was no longer a planet, was a reality, built on the team I'd inspired. As I locked the office door, the Austin night alive with promise, I knew we were ready for whatever came next. The Austin skyline shimmered under a late afternoon sun, its golden light spilling into the modest office of Horizon Consulting LLC, my new home. Barely a week had passed since my sister Claire fired me from Harper Logistics, the family company I'd spent 12 years building into a national force. The betrayal had cut deep, but it had also set me free. With Horizon Consulting, my strategic lifeline, I'd secured the loyalty of clients representing 75% of Harper's revenue and assembled a team: Mia, Ryan, and 8 others who'd left stable jobs to join me. We were building something real, something mine, in a leased space filled with IKEA furniture and shared dreams. But the past wasn't done with me yet. As I reviewed client transition plans, my phone buzzed with a message that stopped me cold. An email from Harper Logistics Board, requesting an urgent meeting. I leaned back in my chair, the hum of our new office laptops whirring, team members debating logistics over coffee grounding me. The board's email was formal but laced with desperation. They'd realized the truth. Without Horizon Consulting's contracts, Harper Logistics was a ship without a rudder. Claire's impulsive decision to fire me had backfired, and now they wanted to negotiate. I called Lauren, my attorney, who'd helped me craft Horizon Consulting 6 years ago. They're offering to hire Horizon as a primary contractor, I told her, forwarding the email. 5-year commitment, 7 figures annually. What do you think? Lauren's voice was calm but sharp. It's a good offer, Emily. They're scared. Your clients are their revenue, and Claire's floundering. But you hold the cards. Don't settle for their first pitch. Her words echoed my own instincts. This wasn't just about money, it was about power. About proving my worth after years of being overshadowed by Claire's charm and our father's favoritism. I thought of my grandmother, who'd founded Harper Logistics with nothing but grit and a single truck. She'd faced skeptics and won. Now, it was my turn. I met Lauren at a quiet coffee shop in downtown Austin, the kind of place where the clink of mugs and murmur of conversations felt like a cocoon. Over steaming lattes, we dissected the board's offer. They're trying to buy stability, Lauren said, her pen tapping the table. But you've got leverage. Push for more higher fees, equity, something that cements your control. Equity. The word sent a thrill through me. Owning a piece of Harper Logistics, the company I'd been cast out of, would be poetic justice. Let's draft a counteroffer, I said. Double their fee and a 3% stake in the company. Lauren raised an eyebrow. Bold. You sure? I nodded, my resolve hardening. They need me more than I need them. As we worked, I felt a mix of pride and unease. Pride, because my foresight with Horizon Consulting had given me this leverage. Unease, because this move felt personal. A way to prove to Claire, to Dad, to everyone who'd underestimated me that I was the one who'd kept Harper Logistics alive. A memory surfaced. My journal entry from 6 years ago, written after Claire took credit for my cost-saving proposal. I'll build my own table, I'd vowed. Now, I wasn't just building a table, I was reshaping the game. Back at the office, I shared the plan with Mia and Ryan. The board wants us back, I said, standing by the window overlooking the Colorado River. But we're not crawling back. We're setting terms. Ryan grinned, his arms crossed. You're playing chess while Claire's playing checkers. Mia laughed, but her eyes were serious. What does this mean for us? Are we tying ourselves to Harper again? Her question hit me hard. This team had risked everything to join me. I couldn't let them down. It means we stay independent, I said. If we take this deal, Harper becomes our client, not our boss. We keep building Horizon, our way. Mia nodded, relieved, and Ryan clapped me on the shoulder. You've got this, Emily. Their trust fueled me, but it also reminded me of the stakes. I thought of the Austin entrepreneurship program I'd volunteered with, where I'd mentored young women on standing firm in negotiations. One mentee had called me unshakable. I didn't feel unshakable now, but I was learning to act like it. That evening, my phone lit up with a text from Claire. You're sabotaging everything. Stop this now. Her words were a jab, but they only sharpened my focus. I pictured her in her CEO office, her immaculate pantsuit no match for the chaos she'd created. She'd underestimated me, just as she had when we were kids, when she'd claimed my science project as hers. Back then, I'd stayed silent. Now, I had a voice and leverage. I didn't respond to her text. Instead, I finalized the counteroffer with Lauren, my fingers steady as I signed the document. It was aggressive, but fair. Horizon Consulting wasn't just a contractor. It was the backbone of Harper's success. The next morning, Lauren delivered our counteroffer to the board. I spent the day in the office, fielding client calls and sketching ideas for a tech platform, Horizon Track, to streamline logistics with real-time analytics. The work kept my nerves at bay, but when Lauren called that afternoon, my heart raced. They're reeling, she said. Two board members pushed back, saying the equity demand is too much. But others, especially Margaret, who's always admired your tracking, system argued you're worth it. They're voting tomorrow. I exhaled, the weight of the moment settling over me. Margaret's support was a quiet victory, a reminder of the innovation award I'd earned for that tracking system. But Claire's text echoed in my mind, stirring doubt. Was I pushing too hard? Letting personal hurt cloud my judgment? I walked to the office window, the Austin sunset painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. A memory from my volunteering days surfaced. A mentee asking how I stayed calm under pressure. Focus on what you can control, I'd told her. I couldn't control Claire's anger or the board's vote, but I could control my vision for Horizon. That night, I started a blog to share my entrepreneurial journey, typing my first post. Sometimes, betrayal is the push you need to build something better. Writing it felt like reclaiming my story, a way to connect with others facing their own battles. As I hit publish, my phone buzzed again, another text from Claire. You'll regret this. I read it, then set the phone down. Her threats couldn't touch me now. The board's counteroffer was a lifeline they'd thrown, but my counteroffer was a declaration. I wasn't just a cog in Harper Logistics, I was its engine. By the time I locked the office, the team was still working, their laughter and focus a reminder of what we'd built in a week. Mia was scheduling client meetings. Ryan was mapping fulfillment routes through Charlotte and Memphis. They believed in me, and I believed in us. The board's vote loomed, but whatever their decision, I knew one thing. Horizon Consulting was my future, not Harper's. As I stepped into the Austin night, the city's energy pulsing around me, I felt a quiet certainty. Claire had tried to break me, but she'd only made me stronger. The counteroffer wasn't just a deal, it was my stand, and I was ready for what came next. The Dallas morning was crisp, the city's glass towers catching the sunlight as I stepped into a small coffee shop halfway between Austin and Claire's new reality. It had been 10 days since my sister, Claire, fired me from Harper Logistics, the family company I'd spent 12 years building into a national powerhouse. Her betrayal in that Austin boardroom had been a calculated strike, but it had backfired. With Horizon Consulting LLC, my strategic lifeline, I'd secured the loyalty of clients representing 75% of Harper's revenue, assembled a team Mia, Ryan, and others who'd left to join me, and delivered a bold counteroffer to the board. Double their proposed fees and a 3% equity stake. Claire's panic texts had grown silent, replaced by a single request. A private meeting. Just the two of us, away from the company. I agreed. Not out of nostalgia, but necessity. Some battles needed facing head-on. I spotted Claire at a corner table, her posture rigid, a steaming latte untouched before her. She looked polished, as ever-blonde hair swept into a low bun. Her blazer's sharp butt, her eyes betrayed her, shadowed with exhaustion. The weight of her new CEO role, and the chaos I'd unleashed, was taking its toll. I slid into the seat across from her, the clink of coffee mugs and hum of conversations wrapping us in a fragile bubble. You look tired, she said, her voice low, almost gentle. I met her gaze, unflinching. Building a company from scratch is exhausting. You'd know if you'd ever tried. The jab landed, sharper than I'd intended, but weeks of stress had frayed my diplomacy. Claire didn't flinch, though her fingers tightened around her mug. I've been thinking, she said, stirring her latte with deliberate slowness, about why you set up Horizon Consulting in the first place. You never trusted us. Not me, not Dad, not the board. You always needed your own safety net. Her words cut deep, not because they were wrong, but because they were true. I leaned back, the chair creaking, and let the accusations settle between us. Trust has to be earned, Claire, I said, my voice steady but laced with years of unspoken hurt. Dad spent decades overlooking my work while praising your poise. You spent years taking credit for my ideas. What was I supposed to trust? Her eyes flickered, a flash of something guilt, maybe, or defiance. We're family, she said, as if that answered everything. I laughed, soft but bitter. Family businesses fail when people confuse loyalty with competence. Dad made you CEO because you're his daughter, not because you were the best for the job. And you fired me because you couldn't stand being in my shadow. The air thickened, the coffee shop's warmth no match for the chill between us. Claire's facade cracked, her voice rising. You want to know why Dad chose me? Because you're ruthless, Emily. Horizon Consulting proves it. You'd burn Harper Logistics to the ground to prove a point. Her words hit like a slap, echoing a doubt I'd wrestled with since the client rebellion began. Was I ruthless? Had I built Horizon Consulting to protect myself or to destroy them? I thought of my grandmother who'd founded Harper Logistics with grit and heart. Would she see me as a traitor or a survivor? I didn't burn anything, I said quietly, my voice trembling with restraint. You lit the match when you fired me. I'm just making sure I don't get consumed. We stared at each other. Decades of sisterly competition distilled into this moment. A memory surged, raw and vivid. I was 16, sitting on Claire's bed as she cried over a broken engagement. I'd stayed up all night, listening, promising her she was enough. Even then, I'd loved her. But love hadn't erased the rivalry our parents nurtured. Dad's praise for Claire's charm, Mom's gentle nudges to be more like your sister, had built a wall between us, brick by brick. Claire's eyes softened, as if she sensed the memory. I didn't want it to be like this, she said, her voice breaking. But you made it impossible. Every client, every deal, it was always you. I had to do something. Her admission was a crack in the armor, a glimpse of the sister I'd once known. I leaned forward, my heart heavy but resolute. You did. And so did I. Horizon Consulting wasn't about stealing clients. It was about protecting what I built when I knew you and Dad would never value it. The silence that followed was heavy, filled with the weight of truths we'd avoided for years. I thought of my volunteering with an Austin entrepreneurship program where I'd mentored young women on standing tall in tough moments. One mentee had asked how I faced conflict without losing myself. Speak your truth, I'd told her, even when it hurts. Now I was living that advice, and it hurt more than I'd expected. But it also freed me. So, what happens now? Claire asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The question hung between us, a crossroads. I could push harder, let Horizon Consulting dismantle Harper Logistics entirely. Or I could choose a different path, one that preserves something of our family's legacy. We go our separate ways, I said, my tone firm but not unkind. Horizon Consulting is my future. Harper Logistics is yours. Run it, Claire, but without my clients or my team. We'll see who builds something lasting. She nodded, a fragile truce settling over us. It wasn't forgiveness too much, had been broken for that, but it was an understanding. As I stood to leave, I paused. I'm donating part of Horizon's profits to a Dallas women's shelter, I said. It's something I've wanted to do for a while. Maybe you can find something like that too. Something that's yours. Claire looked up, surprised, but didn't respond. I walked out, the Dallas air cool against my skin, feeling lighter than I had in days. Back in Austin, I returned to Horizon's office, where Mia and Ryan were mapping client transitions. The exposed brick walls and laughter-filled air felt like home. I thought of my blog, where I'd started sharing my journey. My latest post, written after the board's offer, had resonated with readers. Sometimes, the hardest fights are the ones that show you who you are. This showdown with Claire had done that. It had shown me my strength, but also my capacity for grace. As I joined the team, reviewing plans for our Horizon Track platform, I felt a quiet certainty. Claire's firing had been meant to break me, but it had only sharpened my purpose. The sisterly showdown wasn't the end, it was a turning point. Horizon Consulting was my legacy now, built on trust, not rivalry. As the Austin night fell, the city's lights twinkling beyond our window, I knew I was ready for whatever came next. Claire had her company, and I had mine. The future would tell the rest of the story. The Austin sun hung low, casting a warm glow over the new headquarters of Horizon Consulting LLC, a renovated warehouse with exposed brick walls and open workstations that buzzed with purpose. 3 months had passed since my sister Claire fired me from Harper Logistics, the family company I'd spent 12 years building into a national force. Her betrayal, meant to erase me, had instead ignited a fire. With Horizon Consulting, my strategic lifeline, I'd secured clients representing 75% of Harper's revenue, built a loyal team, Mia, Ryan, and a growing crew and forced the board to negotiate on my terms. The sisterly showdown in Dallas had ended in a fragile truce, but I wasn't looking back. I was Emily Harper, 41, and Horizon Consulting was no longer a planet, was a thriving reality, ready to soar. The new office felt alive, its energy a stark contrast to the sterile boardroom where Claire had tried to break me. Desks were cluttered with laptops and coffee mugs, whiteboards scrawled with logistics plans, and a framed National Innovation Award earned for my tracking system at Harper hung proudly on the wall. Our team had grown from 8 to 30, a mix of Harper defectors and fresh talent drawn by our vision. Mia, my assistant turned operations coordinator, darted between workstations, scheduling client calls. Ryan, our operations lead, huddled with analysts, mapping routes through our new fulfillment partners in Charlotte and Memphis. Their dedication humbled me. They'd bet on me, and I was determined to deliver. Today was a milestone. We'd just signed a major contract with a Miami-based retailer, a deal that pushed Horizon's annual revenue to $35 million, nearly double what my team had achieved at Harper. The client, a family-owned chain, had chosen us for our personalized approach, a hallmark I'd carried from my Harper days. I'd flown to Miami, sat with their CEO over Cuban coffee, and listened to their supply chain woes. "You get us," the CEO had said, signing the contract. That trust, built on years of showing up for clients like Sarah Mitchell in Seattle, was our currency. But to sustain it, we needed more than relationships. We needed innovation. That's where Horizon Track came in. For weeks, I'd been sketching ideas for a tech platform to revolutionize logistics with real-time analytics. Unlike the tracking system I'd built at Harper, which focused on efficiency, Horizon Track was designed for accessibility, with a feature for small businesses to manage shipments affordably. I'd seen the struggles of small retailers through my volunteering with an Austin entrepreneurship program, where I'd mentored young women launching their own ventures. One mentee, a florist, had nearly closed her shop due to shipping costs. "If I could track deliveries like the big guys, I'd survive," she'd said. Horizon Track was my answer not just for her, but for every underdog dreaming big. This morning, we launched Horizon Track in a team meeting that felt more like a celebration. I stood at the front, a projector casting the platform's sleek interface onto the wall. "This is our future," I said, my voice steady but brimming with excitement. Horizon Track doesn't just serve our client. It empowers them. Big retailers, small shops, they all get the same tools. We're leveling the playing field. The team erupted in applause, Ryan whistling from the back. Mia, ever practical, raised her hand. "What about rollout? Small businesses need hand-holding." I grinned. "That's why we're training a support team, starting with you." Her laugh filled the room, a reminder of why I loved this crew. The launch wasn't flawless. Our tech lead, a new hire named Lena, flagged a glitch in the small business portal, delaying its release by a week. I felt a pang of frustration, but Lena's quick fix and the team's calm response reassured me. We were learning to roll with the punches, a skill honed in these chaotic early months. I thought of my journal from 6 years ago, when I'd created Horizon Consulting. Build something that bends, not breaks. We were bending now, and it felt right. To mark the launch, we hosted a family day, a new tradition I'd started to thank the team. Employees brought their kids, spouses, even a few dogs, turning the office into a festive chaos of laughter and barbecue from a local food truck. Ryan's daughter, a shy 7-year-old, tugged my sleeve. "Are you the boss?" she asked. I knelt, smiling. "I'm just part of the team, like your dad." She beamed, and I felt a swell of pride. This was more than a company, it was a community, one Claire's boardroom could never replicate. Yet, growth brought challenges. Our rapid expansion strained our resources, and I spent late nights securing loans to fund new hires and equipment. The Miami contract, while a triumph, stretched our Charlotte and Memphis fulfillment centers, forcing Ryan to work overtime. I worried about burnout, especially for Mia, who juggled client relations with her new support role. During a quiet moment, I pulled her aside. "You're doing too much," I said. "Let me hire help." She shook her head, her eyes fierce. "This is our dream, Emily. I'm all in." Her loyalty was a gift, but it reminded me to protect the team that carried us. My blog, started after the board's offer, became a lifeline during these hectic days. I posted about Horizon Track's launch, sharing the florist's story and our mission to empower small businesses. Readers, entrepreneurs, dreamers, even a few Harper employees left comments, calling it inspiring. One wrote, "You turned betrayal into a movement." I read it late at night, the Austin skyline twinkling outside, and felt a lump in my throat. I thought of my grandmother, who'd faced doubters with quiet strength. Was I making her proud? I hoped so. A memory from my volunteering days surfaced. A mentee asking how I balanced ambition with heart. "Lead with both," I'd said. Now, I was trying. Horizon Track's small business feature was my heart, a way to give back. But ambition drove me, too. The Miami deal was just the start. I was eyeing contracts in Denver and Atlanta, cities where Harper had never ventured. Claire's silence since our Dallas meeting was telling. She was scrambling, I knew, but I didn't gloat. Her fight was hers. Mine was here. With this team, this platform, this vision. As the week ended, I stood in the office, watching the team pack up. Lena had fixed the glitch, and Horizon Track's small business portal was live, already earning praise from a local bakery. Ryan clapped me on the shoulder. "We're not just scaling, Emily. We're soaring." I laughed, the sound carrying over the hum of the office. 3 months ago, Claire had tried to erase me. Now, Horizon Consulting was a $35 million force, with 30 employees and a platform changing the game. I looked at the Innovation Award, a relic of my past, and the new Horizon Track logo on my screen, a symbol of my future. Scaling wasn't just about numbers, it was about building something lasting. As the Austin night fell, I knew we were just getting started. The Austin evening carried a gentle warmth, the kind that made the city feel like an old friend as I drove to meet my father, Robert Harper, at his favorite steakhouse downtown. 4 months had passed since my sister Claire fired me from Harper Logistics, the family company I'd spent 12 years building into a national powerhouse. Her betrayal had been a wound, but it had also been a catalyst. With Horizon Consulting LLC, my strategic lifeline, I'd secured clients worth 75% of Harper's revenue, built a team of 30 loyal employees, Mia, Ryan, and others, and launched Horizon Track, a tech platform revolutionizing logistics. The board had accepted my bold counteroffer, making Harper a client, not my employer. My confrontation with Claire in Dallas had ended in a fragile truce, but my father's silence had been louder. Until now. His text, simple and direct, "Dinner? Just us?" had stirred a mix of curiosity and caution. I was Emily Harper, 41, and ready to face the man who'd shaped so much of my story. The steakhouse was a haven of dark wood and soft lighting, the aroma of grilled meat and bourbon wrapping me as I stepped inside. Dad sat at a corner booth, his silver hair catching the glow of a candle, his face etched with lines deeper than I remembered. The near collapse of Harper Logistics, triggered by Claire's misstep and my departure, had aged him. He stood as I approached, his smile tentative but warm. "You look good, Em," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "Success suits you." I slid into the booth, my heart a tangle of gratitude and old hurts. "Thank you," I said, unsure where this was headed, but determined to hear him out. We ordered steak for him, salmon for me, and for a moment, the clink of glasses and hum of the restaurant filled the silence. Then Dad leaned forward, his hands clasped. "I owe you an apology," he said, the words heavy, deliberate. "Several, actually." I froze, my fork hovering over the salad. In all my years, I'd never heard him admit fault. He'd always been the patriarch, the founder's son, who steered Harper Logistics with unwavering certainty, even when it meant favoring Claire's charm over my results. I set the fork down, giving him space to continue. "I should have seen your talent years ago," he said, his eyes meeting mine. "Should have made you CEO when I stepped down. I was blinded by tradition, oldest child. Takes the crown no matter what." Claire had her strengths, but they weren't the right ones for leading. His admission hit like a wave. Validation I'd craved for decades now, tinged with sorrow for the years lost. I thought of my grandmother, who'd built Harper Logistics with a single truck and a fierce will. She'd have chosen me, I knew, but Dad hadn't. Why now, I asked, my voice steady but soft. Why say this after everything? He sighed, rubbing his temple. When Claire fired you, I thought she'd stabilize things. But then the clients left, the board panicked, and I saw the truth. You were the engine, Em. Always had been. He paused, a faint smile breaking through. You outmaneuvered us all. Horizon Consulting building that right under our noses? I'm not sure whether to be mad or proud. I laughed, the sound surprising me. Both, probably, I said, echoing a phrase I'd written in my blog, where I shared my entrepreneurial journey with readers who called me inspiring. Dad's story shifted, his voice softening. I made a mistake once, early on, he said. Took a bad loan, nearly lost the company. Your grandmother bailed me out, but she never let me forget it. Said I needed to trust my instincts, not just the numbers. I didn't listen when it came to you. The vulnerability in his words disarmed me. I'd always seen him as unyielding, but here was a man grappling with regret. A memory surfaced. I was 10, watching him fix a truck in our Austin driveway, his hands steady as he explained gears. He'd been my hero then, before Claire's spotlight dimmed mine. The board's considering a restructure, he said, pulling me back. They want you back, not just Horizon as a contractor, but you as CEO. Claire would shift to Chief Marketing Officer, her strength. She's agreed, conditionally. I nearly choked on my water. CEO? After they'd cast me out? What's the condition? I asked, my mind racing. That you and Claire repair your relationship, he said. I'm here as your father, but also as the founder's son. We need you both. Working together, not against each other. The offer was a lifeline, but it felt like a tether, too. I thought of Horizon's new office, its brick walls alive with Mia's laughter, Ryan's steady plans, and the Horizon Track platform empowering small businesses. I thought of my volunteering with an Austin entrepreneurship program where I'd told a mentee, build what's yours, not what others expect. Horizon was mine, built from betrayal but rooted in trust. Going back to Harper, even as CEO, would mean stepping into Claire's shadow again, navigating family politics I'd fought to escape. I can't, I said, my voice firm but kind. Horizon's my future, but I'll keep Harper as a client 3 years, as we agreed. That's the best I can do. Dad nodded, his eyes glistening with something like pride. I expected that, he said. You're your grandmother's granddaughter. The words warmed me, a bridge to a legacy I'd always carried. That night, I started a podcast, Rising from the Ground Up, to share lessons from my journey. My first episode, recorded in Horizon's office with the Austin skyline twinkling outside, was about forgiveness, not just of others, but of yourself. I spent years chasing my father's approval, I said into the mic, but building Horizon taught me I didn't need it. I needed my own. Listeners emailed calling it raw and relatable, and I felt a connection to strangers who saw my truth. A memory from my volunteering days lingered, a mentee asking how I moved past resentment. You don't erase it, I'd said. You build something bigger. Horizon was that something. 35 million in revenue, 30 employees, a platform changing lives. Claire's demotion, Dad's regret, they were part of the story, but not the heart. The heart was Mia's grin, Ryan's daughter's question, the florist using Horizon Track to save her shop. As I left the steakhouse, the Austin night alive with possibility, I felt a quiet peace. Dad's apology hadn't erased the past, but it had freed me to write my future. Horizon Consulting was my legacy, and I was just beginning. The Austin dawn painted the sky in soft pinks, its light filtering through the windows of Horizon Consulting LLC's renovated warehouse office, where the hum of ambition never quite slept. 5 months had passed since my sister Claire fired me from Harper Logistics, the family company I'd spent 12 years building into a national force. Her betrayal, meant to diminish me, had instead sparked a revolution. With Horizon Consulting, my strategic lifeline, I'd secured clients worth 75% of Harper's revenue, grown a team from 8 to 30, and launched Horizon Track, a tech platform empowering businesses large and small. My father's apology over dinner, offering me the CEO role I'd been denied, had validated my worth, but I'd chosen my own path. Now, at 41, I was Emily Harper, leading a $35 million enterprise. But growth, I was learning, came with its own storms, and Horizon was weathering a turbulent one. The office, once a chaotic startup space with IKEA furniture and taco truck dinners, had matured into a hub of organized energy. Exposed brick walls bore photos from our family day, where Ryan's daughter had asked if I was the boss, and whiteboards mapped logistics routes through Charlotte and Memphis. Mia, now operations coordinator, juggled client calls with a smile, while Lena, our tech lead, fine-tuned Horizon Track's small business portal, a feature inspired by my volunteering with an Austin entrepreneurship program. The platform's launch had been a triumph, earning praise from a local florist who'd saved her shop with our tools. But success brought pressure, and cracks were showing. Last week, a shipment for our Miami client had been delayed at our Charlotte fulfillment center, a glitch that cost us a tight deadline and a tense call. "We trust you, Emily," the client had said, but their patience wasn't infinite. Then Sarah, a key analyst who'd followed me from Harper, gave notice, citing burnout from our relentless pace. Her exit meeting was quiet, her eyes apologetic. "I believe in you," she said, "but I need a breather." I nodded, hiding my worry. Losing Sarah felt like losing a piece of our foundation, and the Miami delay had shaken my confidence. Were we growing too fast? Stretching ourselves too thin? I stood at my desk, the Austin skyline a steady backdrop, and opened my journal, a habit from the days I'd created Horizon Consulting. 6 years ago, I'd written, "Build something that bends, not breaks." Now, we were bending hard. I called an all-hands meeting, gathering the team around our central table, coffee mugs and laptops scattered like battle gear. "We've hit rough waters," I said, my voice calm but honest. "The Miami delay, Sarah's departure, they're wake-up calls. We're not perfect, but we're resilient. Let's fix this together." The team leaned in, their faces a mix of concern and determination. Ryan spoke first. "We need more hands in Charlotte. And better training for the new hires." Mia nodded. "And a backup plan for delays. Clients need predictability." Their ideas sparked a plan. I announced new training programs, pairing seasoned staff like Ryan with rookies to streamline operations. We hired 2 logistics specialists for Charlotte, easing the strain on our fulfillment network. Lena proposed a Horizon Track update to flag potential delays before they escalated, a feature we rolled out in days. The team's energy was a lifeline, but I knew they were stretched. I thought of my mentorship days when a young entrepreneur asked how I handled setbacks. "Lean on your people," I'd said. "They'll surprise you." My people were doing just that, but I had to protect them too. To boost morale, I organized a team retreat in the Texas Hill Country, a sprawling ranch an hour from Austin where rolling hills and live oaks offered a reset. We traded laptops for hiking boots, our laughter echoing as Mia tripped over a root and Ryan teased her about city legs. Over a campfire, we shared stories: Lena's journey from coding bootcamp to tech lead, Ryan's pride in his daughter's school play. I shared too, recalling the night I'd created Horizon Consulting, driven by fear but fueled by hope. "You're not just my team," I said, the firelight dancing in their eyes. "You're my family." The words felt raw, a nod to the family I'd lost at Harper but found here. The retreat wasn't just bondage, it was strategy. We brainstormed ways to stabilize Horizon, from streamlining client onboarding to automating reports. Back in Austin, we implemented the ideas, and the Miami client praised our quick recovery. But the biggest win came unexpectedly: a government contract to manage supply chains for a federal agency, a deal that cemented Horizon's reputation. The contract, secured after weeks of pitches, was a testament to our grit. Mia hugged me when we got the news, her voice choked. "We're not just surviving, Emily, we're thriving." My blog, a growing outlet for my journey, captured the moment. I wrote about the retreat, the government contract, and Sarah's departure, framing it as a lesson: growth hurts, but it teaches. Every setback is a chance to build stronger, readers responded. One commenting, "You make failure feel like a stepping stone." I read it late at night, the office quiet, and thought of my grandmother, who'd faced her own failures building Harper Logistics. She'd taught me resilience, even if Dad hadn't seen it in me until now. A memory from my volunteering lingered. A mentee asking how I stayed motivated when things went wrong. "Find your why," I'd said. My why was clear. Horizon wasn't just a company, it was a promise to my team, my clients, and the small businesses using Horizon Track. The florist had sent me a thank you note, her shop now thriving. That note, pinned to my desk, was worth more than any Harper boardroom applause. As the week ended, I stood in the office, watching the team work. Lena's update had prevented another delay, and the new specialists were settling in. Ryan clapped me on the shoulder. "We're tougher than we look," he said. I laughed, the sound carrying over the hum of collaboration. 5 months ago, Claire had tried to erase me. Now, Horizon was a force, with a government contract, a growing team, and a platform changing lives. The growing pains had tested us, but they'd also forged us. I looked at the Austin skyline, its lights a beacon of possibility. We weren't just overcoming challenges, we were building a legacy, one resilient step at a time. The Austin autumn evening was crisp, the city's skyline glowing against a velvet sky as I stood in the lobby of Horizon Consulting LLC's new headquarters. A renovated warehouse that pulsed with the energy of a dream realized. 6 months ago, my sister, Claire, fired me from Harper Logistics, the family company I'd spent 12 years building into a national powerhouse. Her betrayal, delivered in a sterile boardroom, was meant to erase me, but it had done the opposite. With Horizon Consulting, my strategic lifeline, I'd secured clients worth 75% of Harper's revenue, grown a team from 8 to 40, and launched Horizon Track, a tech platform revolutionizing logistics. The board had become my client, my father had apologized, and Claire and I had reached a fragile truce. Through delays and burnout, we'd grown stronger. Now, at 41, I was Emily Harper, standing at the helm of a $50 million enterprise, and the illuminated Horizon sign above our door felt like a beacon of a new legacy. The office was a far cry from the leased space where we'd assembled IKEA furniture 6 months ago. Exposed brick walls displayed photos from our family day and the Texas Hill Country retreat, moments that had forged us into a family. Workstations hummed with activity, Mia coordinating client calls, Ryan mapping routes through Charlotte and Memphis, Lena tweaking Horizon Track's small business portal. The platform, inspired by my volunteering with an Austin entrepreneurship program, had saved a local florist shop and earned us a government contract, cementing our reputation. Tonight, we were celebrating a new milestone, a contract with a major Dallas-based retailer, pushing our revenue past $50 million. But the real triumph was deeper, a legacy built not just on numbers, but on purpose. I walked through the office, pausing at a whiteboard scrawled with ideas for Horizon Gives, a community initiative I'd launched to support Austin's small businesses. The idea had taken root during our retreat, when a team member shared her struggle as a minority-owned business owner. Horizon Gives offered free logistics consultations to minority-owned firms, helping them navigate shipping challenges that could make or break their dreams. Last week, we'd helped a Black-owned bakery expand to Houston, their owner tearfully thanking us at a ribbon cutting. Tonight, we were hosting a launch event for Horizon Gives, and the office was alive with preparation tables, set with local barbecue, a banner proclaiming, "Empowering Austin, one business at a time." As guests arrived, clients, team members, community leaders, I felt a swell of pride. Mia, now my right hand, greeted a city council member, her confidence a far cry from the assistant who'd carried coffee cups into our first office. Ryan's daughter, now a regular at our events, handed out Horizon Gives flyers, her smile bright. I thought of my grandmother, who'd founded Harper Logistics with a single truck and a fierce heart. She'd have loved this. I knew her legacy wasn't just logistics, but lifting others up. A memory from my volunteering days surfaced. A mentee, asking how I defined success. "It's not what you achieve," I'd said, "but who you bring with you." Horizon Gives was my answer, a way to bring Austin's dreamers along. The event was a success, capped by a surprise. The city awarded me a local hero plaque for Horizon Gives' impact. Standing before the crowd, I held the plaque, my voice catching. "This isn't mine alone," I said. "It's our every client who trusted us, every team member who built this, every business we're helping grow. The applause was thunderous, but it was Mia's tearful hug and Ryan's proud nod that stayed with me. Later, as guests mingled, a young entrepreneur approached, her eyes wide. "I heard your podcast," she said. "It gave me the courage to start my business. Can you mentor me?" I smiled, my heart full. "Let's talk next week," I said, handing her my card. Passing on my wisdom felt like planting seeds for a future I'd never see but believed in. My podcast, Rising from the Ground Up, had grown alongside Horizon, its episodes in betrayal, resilience, and now community resonating with listeners across the country. My latest, recorded after the government contract, had shared the florist's story, earning comments like, "You make success feel possible." Writing my blog and recording the podcast had become my way of processing this journey, from Claire's firing to this moment. A journal entry from 6 years ago, when I'd created Horizon Consulting, echoed in my mind. Build something they can't take. I'd done that, not just for me, but for everyone in this room. Yet, the journey wasn't without shadows. Claire's silence since our Dallas meeting was a quiet ache, a reminder of a bond we might never repair. Harper Logistics, now our client, was stabilizing under her leadership, but the board's reliance on Horizon was a bitter pill for her. My father's apology had healed some wounds, but not all. I thought of him at that steakhouse, his regret, raw and human. He'd texted yesterday, congratulating me on the Dallas contract. "You're outdoing us all," he'd written. I hadn't replied yet, unsure how to bridge the gap. But tonight, surrounded by my team, I felt a peace that didn't depend on his approval or Claire's. As the event wound down, I stepped outside, the Austin night cool against my skin. The Horizon sign glowed above, a symbol of what we'd built from betrayal. I thought of the bakery owner, the florist, the entrepreneur I'd promised to mentor. They were my legacy, as much as the $50 million in revenue or the 40 employees who called this place home. A memory from my volunteering lingered, a mentee asking what kept me going. "Knowing I'm building something bigger than myself," I'd said. Horizon Consulting was that something, a company, a community, a movement. Inside, the team was cleaning up, their laughter carrying through the open door. Mia waved me back in, holding a leftover barbecue sandwich. "You're not escaping yet," she teased. I laughed, rejoining them, the warmth of their camaraderie wrapping me like a blanket. 6 months ago, Claire had tried to erase me. Now, Horizon was an empire, not of spite, but of purpose. The Dallas contract Horizon gives. The government deal, they were chapters in a story still unfolding. As I looked at the team, the city lights twinkling beyond, I knew the sweetest chapter was this. Claire's attempt to push me aside had given me the empire I deserved, built on trust, resilience, and a vision that would outlast us all. The future was ours to write, and I was ready for every word. The Austin skyline glittered under a crisp autumn night, its lights reflecting off the Colorado River like a promise kept. 6 months ago, Emily Harper stood in the shadow of betrayal, fired by her sister Claire from Harper Logistics, the family company she'd spent 12 years transforming into a national powerhouse. That boardroom moment, meant to break her, became the spark for a journey of resilience, vision, and triumph. At 41, Emily turned her strategic lifeline, Horizon Consulting LLC, into a $50 million empire, securing clients worth 75% of Harper's revenue, building a team of 40 loyal employees, Mia, Ryan, Lena, and others, and launching Horizon Track, a tech platform that empowered businesses from Miami retailers to Austin florists. The board became her client. Her father, Robert, apologized for past oversights, and a fragile truce with Claire marked a bittersweet closure. Through delays, burnout, and growing pains, Emily forged a legacy not just of success but of purpose, culminating in Horizon Gives, a community initiative lifting minority-owned businesses. Her story, etched in the glow of Horizon's sign, is one of turning betrayal into an empire, and its lessons resonate far beyond the Austin skyline. Emily's journey began with a shock that would have shattered most. Claire's announcement in that sterile boardroom, dismissing her with a cold, "Your services are no longer required," was a calculated strike, rooted in years of sibling rivalry and their father's favoritism. Emily's contributions securing major clients, designing an award-winning tracking system, doubling profit margin made her indispensable, but also a threat to Claire's spotlight. Yet, Emily didn't crumble. Her calm exit, marked by a defiant laugh, was the first sign of her strength. 6 years earlier, she'd foreseen this possibility, creating Horizon Consulting to hold client contracts, a move born not of spite but survival. That foresight, revealed in the quiet of her office with Mia, became her foundation, a testament to her ability to plan for the worst while building for the best. The client rebellion that followed was a turning point. When Sarah Mitchell in Seattle and others refused to work with Claire, affirming their loyalty to Horizon, Emily saw her value reflected not in titles but in trust. Packing her office, she wrestled with doubt. Was she too ruthless? But her journal's words, "build something they can't take," steadied her. As she built a team, Mia's unwavering loyalty and Ryan's defection from Harper with 8 others transformed her vision into reality. The chaotic joy of assembling IKEA furniture in a leased Austin space, the late-night calls securing Charlotte and Memphis fulfillment centers, and the launch of a mentorship program for young logistics professionals showed Emily's leadership was about more than business, it was about people. The board's counteroffer, met with Emily's bold demand for double fees and equity, marked her shift from victim to victor. Her Dallas showdown with Claire laid bare their rivalry, Claire's accusation of ruthlessness clashing with Emily's truth. "You lit the match when you fired me." Their truce, fragile but honest, freed Emily to focus on Horizon's growth. The Miami contract, Horizon Track's launch, and the Texas Hill Country retreat showcased her ability to innovate and inspire, even as delays and burnout tested her. Robert's apology, offering the CEO role she'd been denied, was a bittersweet validation, but Emily chose Horizon. Her podcast, Rising from the Ground Up, sharing her journey with listeners who called her relatable. Overcoming growing pains, a delayed shipment, Sarah's departure to a government contract, proof of Horizon's resilience. Horizon Gives, empowering Austin's small businesses, earned Emily a Local Hero Award, a symbol of a legacy built on giving back. Emily's story is a tapestry of resilience, foresight, and purpose. From the ashes of betrayal, she built an empire that outshone Harper Logistics, not through vengeance but through value. Her laughter, first defiant, then joyful, was her rebellion against a family that undervalued her. The Austin office, alive with laughter and purpose, was her answer to Claire's boardroom. Horizon's $50 million in revenue, 40 employees, and community impact were her proof. Betrayal doesn't define you, your response does. The lesson from Emily's journey is profound. Resilience is not just surviving adversity, but transforming it into opportunity. She didn't let Claire's firing or her father's oversight define her worth. Instead, she built a safety net, trusted her instincts, and created something greater. This lesson applies to anyone facing setbacks, whether a lost job, a fractured relationship, or a dream deferred. In modern life, where uncertainty looms in careers and personal lives, Emily's story teaches us to prepare for the worst, while dreaming for the best. Like her, we can cultivate skills, relationships, and plans that anchor us when storms hit. Her creation of Horizon Consulting 6 years before the crisis mirrors saving for a rainy day or learning new skills before a layoff. Emily's focus on community through Horizon Gives and mentoring reminds us that success is richest when shared. In today's world, where small businesses struggle and inequality persists, we can apply this by supporting local entrepreneurs, volunteering, or mentoring others. Her podcast and blog, Connecting with Strangers Through Shared Struggles, show the power of vulnerability. We can share our stories on social media, in workplaces, or with friends to inspire and learn. Finally, Emily's choice to prioritize Horizon over Harper's CEO offer teaches us to trust our path, even when others offer a familiar one. In 2025, as careers shift and priorities evolve, this means pursuing what aligns with our values, not just what's expected. Emily's legacy is a call to action. Face betrayal with courage, build with purpose, and lift others as you rise. As the Austin skyline glows, her story whispers to us, all your empire is waiting, and it's yours to build.